Welcome back to the podcast series celebrating the 10th anniversary of the International Society for Managing and Technical Editors. This is the third in a series of podcasts speaking with Jason Roberts, the founding president of ISMTE. And I'm Kristen Overstreet, a past president and member of the founding board of directors. Jason, what long-lasting memories do you have from the past ISMTE meetings?
Well, I've been very lucky that I managed to attend meetings on 3 continents now. And, each is different. They have unique personalities, these meetings. But there's one thing that comes across in all of it, and that's the camaraderie. I've never seen a session where people have stood up and just, vented on the speaker, just shouted them down or whatever. Everyone's there to learn, and they're willing to hear different points of view on something or other and entertain new ideas. And then once you've been out of the sessions, we all go off and have our these great social events as well. And society arranges these little dinners for folks that don't know anyone. And, some of us have been going for a long time, so we meet up with old friends. And that's fantastic because I dare say a good chunk of the members work in either very small offices or work from home. I've done that for 12 years now. So the chance to actually get to meet up and talk about this sort of stuff, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling. Personally, some of the longer lasting memories I've had are just of some of the great tips and tricks sessions over the years. You pick up, and it could be, it's a great new idea on how to do something or other. I've learned things on, I never knew that system could do that, or never thought about writing a letter that way to an author. Probably my favorite ever session was hosted in 2010. And this was the meeting where I thought that it was in North America, in Washington, D.C., where we actually really became, a society that looked like it was going to go somewhere. It wasn't just a tiny meeting in a hotel. We had a session. We fell into it by accident. It was a session on social media, and social media in 2010 was still a fairly novel concept certainly for journals. And the speaker failed to show, and so we just went around the room and picked 4 people. A couple of them weren't even people that were involved in society at that point. They're just meeting attendees, and we had a little panel. We heard what they had to say, and then we grabbed a couple of microphones and walked around the room and people asked questions of the panel. People started talking to each other. People started asking questions of the people that had been asking questions. And my goodness, this session went on and on and on, and people just were so fired up. Nobody wanted it to end, but we had to because it was dinner time. But it was really a really amazing experience, and I think there's probably several people that were there in the room that day that will tell you that was probably a memorable session, because it showed that we could actually have faith in ourselves to actually host a meeting and have enough material to be engaged. And we didn't have to be flying in speakers to talk to us about something or other, that we could literally just talk amongst ourselves and still have a great meeting. The third thing I think that's been an amazing memory is just seeing the poster concept come from just maybe even a very speculative idea to becoming something that is now a critical part of the meetings. I mean, we actually gather, we have the social events around the posters. I've learned so much from those. I think we've learned a lot on how to better analyze what we do. And so they've served a purpose of both educating attendees, but also maybe even educating the people that are coming up with the posters, because they have to think about, well, how do you actually do this? How do you gather that data? And finally, and maybe this is a testament to the great work that Apex do, but the food. I don't know what it is about ISMTE meetings, but I always love the food at ISMTE meetings. I can't say that for every other meeting I've been at.
You mentioned the social aspect of ISMTE meetings, and I remember my excitement at the first meeting of being able to talk to people who understood what I did, because that was so rare, and we were all so excited. And I remember you said later that the hotel staff said to you, "You guys are so loud."
Yes.
And there was just 30 of us, but we were just so excited to have the opportunity to talk to each other.
Yeah. Which you can imagine the noise now at the big meetings that we, and people are still excited, and we still talk, 100 words a minute, 1,000 words a minute or whatever, because, again, when you've been cooped up for so long in your home office or whatever, it's just fantastic when you can actually, share your stories.
What is your favorite ISMTE educational resource? Those are, I think, one of the newer elements or something that ISMT is really trying to develop right now?
Well, first of all, I must confess I don't use them enough as I should. But there is one that I love, and maybe I'm a little biased. It's partly because I've always wanted to see this developed. But there's a wonderful resource for improving figure quality. And that sounds awfully dull, but it really is. It's beautifully done. It's very informative. It gives you the language you need to pass on to your authors. I think there's still more that we can do to make it even better, certainly in terms of what to communicate to authors. But I learned a lot on what it is that we need to be gathering from our authors. But it is a particular pet peeve of mine when I flick through the journal, particularly the print version. The online you can sometimes get away with it, but certainly the print version, and the figure is barely legible. The writing's too small, or it's been stretched, or the image is just too fuzzy, and and I know what has caused that. Somebody's just copy and pasted something into Word, and it somehow ended up going all the way through production like that. I think it's a wonderful resource, and if any listeners have never consulted it, I would definitely recommend you do that, and then pass in some of that information on to your authors afterwards.
You mentioned ISMTE's publication, Eon, in the previous podcasts, and you talked about what great content it has. Do you have a favorite article?
Actually, Christy, I really don't. And I mean, there's been some that have stuck in my memory, rather, I should say, over the years. But if I had to give you an answer, I would just say whichever one is the lead-off article for any given issue. Seriously, I do not know how the editors pull it off. The subject matter is so diverse. The authors are, often very well known, or if they're not well known, they're certainly well known within the society. How you manage to get these folks to give up their time to write, I do not know. And then the writing itself is usually very engaging. It's very rarely do I feel that I have to slog my way through something. In fact, probably I'm the worst offender if you're talking about slogging your way through an article. When I write, I seem to go on a bit.
Having been a previous editor of Eon and also talking with Deborah Bowman and Megan McDevitt, now we're into a new reign with Carolyn Sperry and Stephanie Kinnan. I think besides the well-known people, I think it gives ISMTE members an opportunity to explore their own expertise. And you read something in an Eon article and you may not recognize that name, but then you meet them at a meeting and suddenly you're starting to see that person's name in a lot of places. So it's a great way for people to enhance their own career and make steps forward and upward by getting comfortable with what the expertise that they have to share.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that's where Deborah and Megan did a really good job as well. Is that you can see they managed to tease a lot of material out of members, and I don't know how often they write. I mean, a lot of us actually do write, but in other realms, but actually writing on this topic and writing intelligently, I mean, it can be a little scary. You got to put it out there. You don't know what people are going to think about it, but Eon's always felt like a very supportive and safe environment to publish in.
What is one of your fondest memories about starting ISMTE?
Well, I think quite simply, it's just meeting all the people that I now call friends and colleagues. That's it, really. I mean, it's, without that, it's nothing. I mean, it's great to learn new things, but it's the people that make it at the end of the day. That's a society. It makes the difference between a society and a book. I could read a lot of this stuff in a book, but it's just great to actually talk to people about that. And, of course, meeting you as well. I mean, we now work together, and that's a career turn I never anticipated. Yeah, no, it's just really meeting people that are now lifelong friends. That's certainly how I consider many of the members of ISMTE.
Thank you again for sharing your memories of the launch of the Society and your vision about what we can do in the future and just some of your favorite pieces of ISMTE. This has been fun.
Well, thank you, Christy, for this opportunity. I hope the listeners get to enjoy many of the things that ISMTE is going to do to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the formation of the Society. Thank you.